All right, y'all. Our next speaker is Miss Graham. Most of you may have seen her locally on the news, not for a good reason, but because of her daughter, Sanaa Amenhotep, and she actually lost her child to violence and I guess peer-to-peer violence. And so she's gonna more so tell you about the story of her child or her daughter, and also kind of encourage you all to be mindful of the company that you keep, because no matter how young or old you feel that you are, that is important. So I'm gonna play a video, so y'all go ahead and hit play, and it's gonna be on the screen. It's just gonna be.
Breaking news tonight, an update on the. We begin with breaking news tonight, an update on the cause of death of Richland County teen Sanaa Amenhotep. Tonight, authorities say she died from multiple gunshot wounds. Her body was found yesterday in a wooded area near Batesburg, Leesville. Sanaa's death has been ruled homicide, and investigators say they believe she died April 5th. That's the same day investigators believe she was abducted. At this point, one person has been arrested on kidnapping charges while another is being sought. He's 18-year-old Travion Nelson. If you have any information on his whereabouts tonight, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers. That number is always 1-888-CRIME-SC.
So at this time, I present to the forefront Ms. Saleemah Graham.
Hey, how y'all doing? So I have this saying that I say, right? When I meet people and I see them, I say, hey girl, hey. Or I say, hey y'all, hey. So hey y'all, hey. Y'all supposed to say it back, so I'm gonna say, hey y'all, hey. Hey y'all, hey. Hey. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with the story of Sanaa Amenhotep, but she was my daughter. She was 15 years old when she was kidnapped and murdered in April of 2021. And now it's a little bit over 3 years, but as you can see, a lot has changed even with me since her departure. You look at the pictures, you see me with braids, or, you know, at some point you may see me with big hair. Now I cut all of my hair off. And those are just some of the ramifications that happen with parents when they lose their children. And I take assignments like this very seriously. So I'm not going to stand behind a podium today. One, because I feel like I want to have a conversation and not lecture you. I know you probably get that kind of stuff all the time. But as a rule, when I am on this assignment that I believe God put me on, I don't think is supposed to use a strategy of attacking you. When I hear the title of this forum here, Releasing Weight, can't help but think about my daughter. I'm going to tell you some really intimate parts about what happened with her, and I'm hoping that you listen very carefully, because I know if Sanaa had this experience, that maybe you know someone having one, or you may have it yourself. Okay, so we good with that? So because this is a conversation, please feel free to stop me at any point that you have a question. You don't have to raise your hand. Just say, Miss Sal, which is what all the kids call me. You've been calling me that for almost 26 years. Just ask me, okay? So now let me take y'all back. And if you will, parents, please come a little bit closer, because this is just not about the young people. I'll take you back to September of 2020 during pandemic. My daughter was at Epworth Children's Home. It was a behavior issue that happened in, I want to say that was June of 2020. So she was there and she met her killer there. I did not know this young lady until Sanaa would run away with her, maybe around September-ish. When I finally beheld her in mid-October of 2020, on the onset, I looked at this child and I knew she wasn't my daughter's friend. I knew she was not my daughter's friend. And I know at times you may feel like your parent is being overbearing and hypersensitive and too strict, but I'm going to tell you, your parent knows when somebody means you no good. Fast forward to maybe around Christmas time of 2020. This young lady was so manipulative. She had convinced my daughter that she was in a dire situation. Weeks prior to, Sanaa would start to sleep outside with this child. She had just taken this love that she had been shown all her life and wanted to pour it onto this young lady, not knowing in the end that this young lady would be the same one who would kill her. So Christmas time comes around, she can't find these people, she's abandoned and bewildered, and I'm like, something's not right. My spirit would not let me rest. Something just wasn't right. And I remember telling my daughter, okay, if she can't produce a parent after 48 hours, she cannot stay here. That's when things went drastically downhill. I ended up having to tell the young lady to stay away from my daughter, of which she did not listen. She learned my schedule enough to know when to come around and pull my daughter's heartstrings whenever I was not present. So much so that as a result, one day in January, my daughter had gone somewhere else with her, and she left her. Just left my daughter. I came and got her somewhere in West Columbia. And at that time, the Spirit of the Lord told me that my daughter was being baited. I had a conversation with my daughter, and I told her, baby, I don't know what this is, but it's not safe for you. This is dangerous. I'm going to ask you to please cut off all conversation with this young lady, and if she contacts you again, you need to let me know so we can get law enforcement involved. I work at DJJ. I never looked the child up because it's against the rules of policy. You don't do it. But I knew something was wrong with this. That's January of 2021. Unbeknownst to me, this child was still keeping conversation with my daughter. So much so that on April 4th, which was Easter Sunday, she and the same two young men who killed my daughter were in my house canvassing, trying to find out if I had weapons, who else lived in my home, because I would soon find out that they had been planning to kill my daughter for weeks. That they had found her. They knew she came from love. They knew she had support. And they resented it because they did not have it in their life. There will be young people. They don't think like you. They don't love like you. They have not been exposed to the level of support and care that you have, and you'll try to be their friend thinking that your love is going to change them, and it won't. That's why when your parents tell you those kids are doing this and those kids are doing that, we don't do that, so I don't want you with them. I need you to understand it's a very important reason why they're telling you that. Now, does every situation result as extreme as this one? No. But is it real that it could? I'm the proof. She's right here. She did nothing but love this young lady. Now I want you to do me a favor. Everybody, please, if you don't mind, just indulge me a minute. I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to tell you a story. But I don't want you to hear Sanaa, okay? I want you to put your own name in this story. Get in the car with your friend that you've sacrificed for, showed love to, given food out of your own refrigerator to, supported, stood up for, and even slept outside with them. You get in the car with her or him because they're saying, come on, we're going to come right back. Just come on, take a ride. You get in the car, and not even 5 minutes into that ride, you notice something is terribly wrong, that everybody in the car is in on something but you. So you start saying, you know what, I want to go home. I want to go home. Can you just let me out the car? I'll walk. Everybody looking at each other. Nobody's looking at you. And then they get on the highway. Speed up the highway. When you go to try and get out the door, you get smacked in the face with the gun. And then the friend that got you in the car tells you, you ain't going home no more, we gonna kill you. You pick up your phone, rummaging to call your mom. That same friend snatches the phone from you and hangs up on your mom. Throws your phone out of the window. You're traveling about 70 miles an hour up into the night. And for 46 minutes, someone is constantly telling you, we gonna kill you. We gonna beat you. We gonna torture you. We gonna kill you. We gonna beat you. We gonna torture you. They get you to the woods and pull you out the car and begin beating you profusely for about 50 minutes. You have a broken thigh bone, 5 broken ribs. You were beaten so severely in the face that your left eye is out of the socket and your tooth is out of your face. Your face is broken and you have a fracture to your lower gluteal muscle bone, a fracture. Then you're forced to engage into a physical altercation with your so-called best friend, all with all of these injuries. Then they tell you to take a run for it. You don't start running. You say, I know you're going to kill me. Please just let me call my mom so I can say goodbye. Instead of them letting you do that, this same so-called friend delivers the first shot to you in the abdomen. You start laughing. Then you get shot in the lower calf. And then you start to cry. And then you take off running with a broken thigh bone, 5 broken ribs. And you run and start to remember what mom said during gunfire. If you ever in a situation where somebody's shooting, zigzag. So you start running with all those injuries, zigzagging, only to cut a corner and fall. And one of your killers stand over you and empty a clip of an extended magazine full of bullets into your back and lower body. Then they leave, and you're clinging and fighting for your life for about 5 to 7 minutes. And you die. The people who did this to you leave and come back about an hour later to bury your body. But you lay there in the dark for 5 to 7 minutes, thinking about how many times mom told me something is wrong. These people mean you no good. Because the brain is the last thing to die in transition. Open your eyes. I can tell you about me because I'm here. But I think it's important for young people to hear what happened to her and her experience, and how for 46 minutes, even before the injury started, she had to think, my mom was right. And now it's nothing I can do about it. it is so important to watch the company you keep. Don't wait until you're grown up, because as we can see, sometimes you don't get afforded the privilege of becoming a grown up. But some people literally are dead weight. I don't care how popular they look. I don't care how captivating their persona is. When you notice those jokes are not really jokes, steer clear of those people. Okay? Steer clear of them. You'll always get warning signs. For Sanaa was the warning sign of being manipulated and being left places. The jokes that were not really jokes. I want to be able to show you a video before you leave here, where my daughter is in the video with this young lady. And in the back, the young lady is making a gun hand gesture. But Sanaa doesn't see it. She's looking in the camera. The girl's behind her. I want you to see it because I want you to understand how people can have a motive for you that you don't even know about until it could be too late. Okay? Think about it. Think about the people that's in your life right now. Think about those friendships, those social circles you go in, and as soon as you walk up on these people, you know they don't want you there. Those social circles that you compromise, and somebody, you fell out with them and y'all got back cool, and then you fell out with them again and you got back cool with them. There's a reason why. God is going to always give you signals. He's always going to tell you when something is not good for you. If you're sitting in here, somebody has been praying for you. Adults too. Don't miss the signs. What most people don't know is 3 years before that, my brother was killed in a very similar way by his own friends. They set him up and killed him in front of his house. He was only 37 years old. A year after I lost my daughter, my nephew, my brother's son, shot down 9 times by somebody he called his cousin. Friends, not strangers, not the spooky white van, your own friends. People you love, people you'll ride for. Sometimes they're not riding for you. They're going full throttle towards you to mean your end. You got to be careful. I'm not telling you this because I want you to be fearful. Bible says to be sober and vigilant. Wise as serpents and what? Gentle as doves. Wise. Use your mind and know when to cut it off. There's this Aaliyah. I'm dating myself, but I'm sure y'all know Aaliyah because I see the kids wear the t-shirts, right? Aaliyah, the singer, she got in the airplane. They kept telling her, it's too much weight on this airplane, you know. You can go. There's so many theories out now that they're saying that now she didn't even want to go, but the story when it first broke was that she wanted to get this flight. She wanted to bring all these people with her. And they had bags. So that meant they said, well, we'll make you a promise that within 24 hours, these bags, they'll get to you. They're not going to be able to go with you on this plane. She insisted. Well, that plane went down. She died. The message in that is you can't take everybody where you're going. You can't take everything where you're going. Sometimes you're going to have to let some weight go in order for you to walk in that leadership, in order for you to be that divine that God is calling you to be. You got to let it go. You can't keep compromising it, giving more chances than you need to in situations when you know My baby didn't get the chance to make another choice. But as her mother, she's already did all the heavy lifting. I have a responsibility. I remember the news had come to me one day. And they said, we want to talk to you. And what am I going to say to these people? Because I'm the fasting and praying mama. We're not ordinary. We are saved believers. My kids always witness me praying in the middle of the night and fasting and crying out to God and laying out prostrate. This is my lifestyle. So if this can happen to me, this can happen to anybody. Prayer is effective. It is. But we have to watch our choices. We have to watch our choices. I didn't know what I was going to say to people. I'm on this whole different life course. But I remember hearing in my spirit, Mommy, just tell them about us. So that's my charge. I come and I tell you about us. Understanding that we're not the only us. There's so many other us people who duplicate and model the same lifestyle that I've tried to give my children. Love, acceptance, support, devotion, showing up no matter what. And there are some people who don't have that. And if you have it, they will resent you for it. Not all of them. There are some people who will be totally inspired by your life. And then there's some people who will envy you for having it because they didn't have it. So now, let me tell you about who Sanaa is, because I don't believe spirits die. Sanaa was very gregarious, she was full of life. She was very popular. She's a beautiful child, and she was always considered to be doing the most. Most of the time you would hear her before you saw her. Well, she was like, period. She had long braids, and she was just all the way live. So now I have M.O.S.T because people always said, that girl do the most. That girl do the most. And M.O.S.T stands for Mothers and Men of Slain Teens. And what I do is I go and I speak to parents and young people, and then we have our walk going on. Every year around Sanaa's birthday, we will commemorate that date by honoring other young people who have lost their lives to gun violence. And then we want to be a blessing to those families by giving them some type of money or stipend, which leads me to the other side of it. What parents go through when you don't choose properly and they have to go through this. I walked in the sheriff's office on April 29th. I remember everybody was just kind of lined down the hallway. And they were, how you doing? Hey, good morning. And I didn't put two and two together then. I would later learn that they were doing that because they had already known, but I didn't. So me and Sanaa's dad are walking down to the sheriff's office, and we get in. And for the first time, the sheriff says he's not standing near his desk, which was strange. Every other time I've seen him in those 24 days, he was standing by his desk. Not this time. He was kind of standing near a sofa, and he put his arm out and led me over to a sofa. But the first thing I saw was a box of tissue. Still nothing went off for me. And so he said, please sit down. I said, why? So I sit down. And then there's a lady here. I don't know who she is. I'm sitting down, and he says, well, I gave you my word, Miss Graham, that I was going to find your daughter. And we did, but it's not what we wanted. She had been murdered. And all the air in the room sucked out for me. And I was just kind of like in a trance. Her father collapsed. And now I'm thinking, I really don't have the room to do that because there's so much information that's coming next that I need to be alert. So I'm, okay, I'm looking around at everything that's going on, and then this lady is crying, but I don't know who she is yet. And I look and I say, who is this? And he said, wait a minute, let me finish telling you. He said, she had been murdered. We found her here, and he gives me all the spiel. And I'm like, yeah, but who is she? The lady said, my name is Margaret Fisher, and I'm the Lexington County coroner. And I'm so sorry, Miss Graham. And she's crying, and I'm looking. She says, the condition, that we found your girl in, I promise you, I've never seen anything like this. And I promise you that we will take care of your baby. We stayed with her. We did it, and she's talking to me, but she's crying. And I feel like I'm in a dream, but I'm here, I'm watching. It's almost like you ever get up too fast and it's like the room is spinning? It was like that for me for about 19, 20 months, every day. And I was functioning and I was doing things, and I asked the Lord, I said, am I crazy? And I just don't know it. And the Spirit of the Lord told me, I am carrying you. And there would be things that would happen and experiences that would happen, everything from mental breakdowns, going days and sometimes a week without really eating proper food or even taking care of myself, to the mental hall a few times because I just couldn't believe that somebody would do that to my baby. And now I had to live this life that my child is gone and somebody hurt her, and there was nothing I can do about it. It is the worst pain that a parent could ever live with. It is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. I wrote a book in 2013 called When God Was Effervescent. I detailed my earliest memory all the way up until I graduated from college. And I had a bad childhood, bad one. I wanted to give my children a different life. And even in those details, nothing traumatized me, hurt me, turned my life upside down in a way that losing my daughter has. Nothing. So, I want you to think about that, because I get young people who will tell me things like, well, I don't care. I don't think I'm going to live long anyway. I want you to think about you dying and then all of the things and the people that can potentially die with you. So big. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than rap music. It's so much deeper than just how you feel in a moment. It really is deeper than that. And then I wonder if my child is proud of me, if I'm doing a good service, or I push toward happiness, because I know we had a love that she just wanted me to live my life. She wanted that for me. And she told me, Mom, you don't do anything for yourself. You don't do that. But now, struggling to even survive this every day. The first thing on my mind, one of my children is missing. As soon as you open your eyes, it's morning. Yep, one of your kids is still missing. Holiday's the worst. Her birthday, I can feel my even physical body declining. This is what happens to the people that you love when you fail to choose, when you neglect your privilege and your right to choose better options of people. So now I feel like I'm lecturing you, and I'm sure I'm over my time. I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask me anything you want. That feels good to say, because for about 18 months, I could not say that because it was an open case, a trial and all that. But now I can tell you anything you need to know. So here's where I would ask you, if you have any questions, please ask me. Anybody? So in August, there was a sentence in August 2023. The young lady, her name is Nicole Sanchez Peralta, she was sentenced to 65 years without parole. The two young men were sentenced to 60 years each without the possibility of parole. And it would be discovered in court that these young men had a plan that they wanted to rough my daughter up. This is what they testified to. Well, this is what the legal team testified to, because neither of them said anything and none of them offered an apology. But it was pretty much the plan to rough my daughter up, beat up pretty good, and send her back home. But the girl shot her first, so they all felt like they had to shoot her. I mean, nobody knows what happened that night but Sanaa. That's the only one who probably tell you the truth. But I like to think that's why they didn't get the same exact time. We know that in the state of South Carolina, the hand of one is the hand of all. And so, you know, it was a very clever way to give them life without giving them life. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, I don't think I learned to live with it. Every day I'm learning to live with it. Like today, a lot of times when I come in and prepare and I want to hear from the Holy Spirit of what I need to share. And so I yield myself totally to that. But hearing her name with the news, I went outside briefly just to kind of get some, deep breaths in. I learned a lot about listening to my body when, the stress and trauma starts to come up. So every day it looks differently. Sometimes I can hear it and I'm empowered, and sometimes I have to fight back the tears to get through it. So it's different every single time. But thanks for asking that. The parents did not offer anything. When we went to trial, myself and other people from the community, along with Sanaa's father, he's the national field marshal for the new Black Panther Party for self-defense. So he's kind of the reason why we had people all over the country here looking for her. We were the only parents who spoke. No other parent offered an apology. They did not speak to defend their children in any way. They were just kind of there. In the court, you can see rows and rows of people on Sanaa's side and maybe 2 rows between all 3 of them. So that spoke to the level of, support that they did not have. Yeah, anybody else? Yes. Thank you for asking that. And just as a disclaimer, if you can come on August 3rd, I would like to hear young people talk about the effects that losing people from gun violence had on them. So if any of you want to come in, or someone, please share that information. But my middle daughter, she was with Sanaa when they were trying to coerce Sanaa into the car. And she told Sade, it's my daughter, my middle daughter. She said, Sade, just go up the stairs. I'm coming back. Just don't fall asleep on me. My daughter was the last one to see her sister alive. So for 3 years, my baby didn't live with me. So imagine I lose Sanaa to death, and then Sade gets in the car with her dad, and she's there for 3 years. And she just came back maybe about 2 weeks ago. So she was dealing with her own stuff, doing a lot of rebelling, getting in some fights, some serious stuff. But I'm so glad for the power of prayer. And you cover your children, and you don't give up, and you don't believe what you see. You don't believe what you see. Do not speak to what you see. You only speak to what the word of God says concerning your children. Do not get in agreement with what the enemy is trying to discourage you with. I don't care what your children are doing. Do not agree with it. Your job as the parent is to combat in prayer by declaring the word of God and God's promises over your children, no matter what it looks like. And no matter how long it takes. Anything else?
What would you say about, and I hear it already, I just want to, your relationship with God, has it elevated, being that it's almost like a Job-ish experience that you
Yeah.
What has been the bounce back with that? Like, because of course you go through a season of, woe is me, how could you? Any type of loss. How could this have happened? And for me, when I deal sometimes with his no's, his I can't, or his takeaways, emotionally and mentally, I'm speaking out of my mouth that I still trust you, but my behavior is not really exemplifying that. So for you is on a regular, when you have these highs and these lows, what is the tool that you can pull from when you, I'm not talking about you calling someone and you personally, what do you do? What do you use as a tool to kind of assist yourself in pulling you out of the mental and the emotional state that weighs you down?
So now this is a good question. I'm so excited about this question because I've been a lot of places and nobody said it like this. Thank you for this. Oh, all right. I love Jesus, y'all. So this is about to take a shift. God, I'm going to try to sum it up. It's really hard to sum up. But I remember my nickname is Sal, which is why I told the kids, call me Miss Sal, right? My name is Saleemah, Sal for short. But when I came to South Carolina in 1997, people started calling me Sally. So I made a big life change, and I went back home, and I was like, God, I don't fit in with these people anymore. I've given my life to Christ and everything. And God told me, look up Sally. I looked it up and meant God's princess. Where's this scripture here? Being a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, right? I embodied it. So my journey with knowing who I was began that, and even in the highs and lows, I had to go back to this, which is why I'm royal status. My name is royal status everywhere you turn. Saleemah royal status. But I had to learn to be this. But it meant that I had to go through a failed marriage. It meant that I had to have some setbacks. I had to have those experiences because in every instant, God would put just me back in his face, and it would be me and him. And I remember going through an experience where my back was totally against the wall. I literally backed myself into a corner, and I said, Father, my back is literally against the wall. And God came and got me. He came and got me in such a profound way that even when I testified about it, it didn't seem real to people. And I was sold. That was 2006. I was sold on that. So God began to grow me. Maybe about a year before I lost my daughter, the ministry I'm a part of, Revealing Word Ministries, Apostle Gary and Dr. Yesha Becton, we had been fasting and praying and talking about motive. And I mean, when you throw yourself into the word of God in a way, and God start giving you revelation about what your assignment is, whether you understand what concourse is going to take or not, you get sure on this is what God is putting me in. I didn't ask God necessarily why me, I did. It was more that I didn't have a choice to get mad at God enough to turn my back on him. I didn't have that luxury. I don't think I was that spoiled. I had already gone through so many things that I knew that if I didn't keep my grip, I wasn't going to make it. I was going to die. If I didn't keep my grip, I was going to die. And I remember saying, I deserve, for all the hell I've been through, I deserve to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I deserve it. For all of the things I had already went through, it would be a shame. It would totally kill my witness, but it would totally discourage the loss for me to lay down and die like that. And my love for him, he let me fall in love with him. He let me fall in love with him. And if you ever been in love, all kind of stuff can happen. I told my pastor, I said, I got to see what's going to happen now. There's no way I'm just going to and did I have times that I was suicidal? Absolutely. One time I had my mind made up that I called all my girlfriends on the Zoom. I said, girls, I'm telling you this because I don't want you to blame yourself and think it was something you could have done. That was a real thing. I did it. So you have those moments. And what I tell parents in this situation, visit, take vacations there, but don't keep the keys. You think of it as an Airbnb or a short stay hotel. This is real. Let's be real, y'all. You know, we really do go through pain. We really do have feelings we feel a certain way. But we don't devote ourselves to that. We devote ourselves to the truth of God. No matter what, that's what faith is. That's real faith. It's easy to believe God when everything's going good. But can you love me still when I don't do everything the way you think I should? That's natural and spiritual. I didn't have that luxury. I literally could not say, you know what, I'm done with God. I couldn't say it. Because he literally had become my undeniable source for everything. My divorce was final less than 90 days before I lost my daughter. But the Lord kept me even in that because I yielded myself to him. And I believe that's why I'm here today. I really do. It may not look like the perfect thing, but I'm going to tell you what. God is all in it. He will keep you. He will keep you. He will, even when you don't want it. Even when you don't want it, he'll keep you. He's a great sustainer, y'all. He's a great sustainer. Young people, know it now. He's a great sustainer. I dare you, just trust him. Anybody else? I'm sorry. Sorry, I mean to stay that long. Yes.
Have you ever thought about writing a book about just the things that you've been through?
Yeah, I got so much. Someone asked the question. It said, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And I would invest money, and I would just be an author. My life really is good content. My life itself. And I'm sure I'm not the only person. But that's the beauty of it being 8.8 billion of us here, is that we all have our tribe to serve. God would never overburden you and tell you got to serve everybody. That's not fair to anybody. Right? That's why we got so many other ideations of who God is because God knows that people might not hear the Jesus perspective, but we all going to come back to it. We all shall. That's the word of God, shall. That's a surety. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Well, thank y'all for your time. I hope it's something that I shared with you that you take with you for the rest of your life. And I hope that is effective for your life. Not just now, but when you get to be 21, 31, 51, keep it. Okay? Thank you all for allowing me to share.